Well, hey gang, welcome to Current Issues in Human Resources, Summer 2019 version. I'm recording this video to help you understand a little bit about the syllabus so that you know exactly what you've got to do in this shortened semester to complete the course, number one, and number two, to get the grade that you'd like to get. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment, pause this video, and print the syllabus so that you can have it here on the table in front of you as you're watching this video and you can make notes as we go. I'm going to pause momentarily to give you a chance to do that. Well, I assume that you have, in fact, printed the syllabus and you're ready to make some notes here. Note that this is, again, HRMT 4790, Current Issues in Human Resources, Summer 2019. I am Dr. Grimes. For those of you who haven't had me before, perhaps you'll take a moment and watch the Meet Dr. Grimes video where I tell you a little bit about my background so that you got a better understanding of why I approach classes the way I do and how I bring examples where they come from into the class to illustrate points and things like that. It's worth perhaps about 20 minutes of your time to watch that. If you don't know me, you will feel a little bit more comfortable with me as a professor and as a human being after doing that. Certainly not required to do so, but let's take a few minutes here and look through this syllabus, try to make sure that you understand all the important pieces. I give you on page number 1 my cell phone. Being a shortened summer semester, you may feel the need to check in with me and get clarification on something since there isn't a whole lot of turnaround time on most of these assignments. But I will let you know that there's a week early in the semester where I will be out of town, checking my phone occasionally during the day, but not very frequently, not regularly like normal. When I'm in town, I've usually got the thing near me so I can respond fairly quickly, but give me a little bit of time. Try not to wait until the last minute if you have a question, because I might not get to it as fast as you'd like me to. Let's see here. The main things that you want to be looking at are on page 2 of the syllabus, the attendance verification. I'm going to require that you do the introductory quiz and post to the Hello discussion. And every semester I say that you've got to do both of these things by the deadline, and inevitably I've got somebody that does one but not the other, and I got to make a decision as to whether they're participating or not. Yeah, in technicality they're participating because they've done one of the two, but when I've specified that I want you to do both, I got to kind of play it by ear and use my gut to post them as participating or not participating. I really want you to do both of these things, and there's a reason behind them. The Hello discussion is a good way to get started, to let people kind of know a little bit about you. This is going to be a good bit of discussion board activity in our class this semester. So letting them, kind of like my Meet Dr. Grimes video, helps you to get to know me. Posting a little bit about you gives them a frame of reference so that they can understand how to interact with you and so forth. So please make a post to the Hello discussion board by Monday, June the 10th at 11:30 p.m. It just is basically your name, where you are, America's, Tifton, wherever, how close you are to graduating, that kind of thing. And then the introductory quiz gives me your alternate email, like your Gmail account or your Hotmail or something, in case I need to reach you and Radar doesn't seem to be working effectively for you. I'm also going to ask you to give me a cell phone number so that I can shoot you a text if something looks to be wrong and I need to get you quickly, just like I give you my cell phone, I want yours. It also has a series of statements that you check yes or no. I've read the syllabus, I understand the grading components, that kind of thing. So make sure that you do both of those things. Please, very, very, very specific that I want you to do both of those things to get credit for participating in the class. Then moving on to page number 3, you see the general timeline. We won't have any exams in this course other than a final, and that final is not a fact-based, what do you remember kind of thing, but think back and reflect and give me some ideas kind of thing, short essay sort of final. Each week we will have a discussion board, and I'm going to go into some detail in just a minute on how I'm going to grade those things. There's a rubric out there you can look at, but I want you to do them a specific way because I'm trying to design this class. I'm tweaking it every semester, trying to make sure that you can pace yourself. You don't have to log in and do it all at the beginning of the week. I don't want you logging in and doing it all at the beginning of the week. I don't want you logging it in and doing it all at the end of the week. I want you to do it a little bit from day to day. But you see on the syllabus, page 3 there, that we begin this week by doing a discussion about HR's role and about how HR fits into the strategy of the organization. You're also going to review the syllabus, and you're going to do the two introductory assignments, the hello discussion and the introductory quiz. Next week, we'll have a discussion. That's the whole week. It's about the different generations in the workforce, and I really want you to be thinking about how the generations are different from each other and how you as HR need to be able to relate to each of the generations to be able to meet their needs. The baby boomers who are about to retire want different things than folks like you who are just entering the workforce who don't want to think about retirement for a number of years. We'll have a discussion about that. In week number 3, Team number 1 will be in charge of the discussion. Just like I am in charge of the discussion this week and next week, Team 1 will take over for me in week number 3 and lead a discussion about a topic that should be posted out on the homepage or out in the content section of our course already. There's 5 people in class, and each one of you is going to be a partner twice with a different partner each time. And that's going to be an interesting setup to try to get me the information that I need. But getting a little bit ahead of myself here, just continuing to look at the schedule, you notice weeks 1 through 7, there's a discussion board each week, and that's the whole thing really. Realistically, if you're part of the lead team, you're doing a little bit of preparation work in the week or 2 leading up to it. But for the most part, you just post several times on the discussion board during the week, and that's the activity for the week. At the end of the semester, in week number 8, you're actually going to do project presentations, and I'll give you another video entirely about that somewhere around the 23rd or so of June, so that you got a month to work on it. Looking at the grading, each of the discussion boards, there's 7 of them, is worth 18 possible points. And note, the first thing that you really ought to look at in every syllabus is whether this is a point-based class or a weighted class. And this particular class is a weighted class, so it means that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to get the most number of points on everything. If there ever is a time when you can kind of slack off because you're on vacation or something, just knowing which weeks are the proper weeks to slack off is helpful. The discussions are 25% of your grade. So you want to be pretty steady through those, get as many of the 18 points each week as you can, but don't stress too much if you don't get all of them. Let me add another thing here, that the grading will show up as a percentage of 100, but don't freak out if you only get half of the points on the first discussion. It's going to show your grade as a 50, but really it's a 9 out of 18. And that's important because if it's a 50, you've lost 50 points, but if it's a 9 out of 18, you've only lost 9 points, and that is weighted at 0.25. So each of those discussion boards is worth very little in the overall scheme of the grading structure. Twice during the semester, you'll work with a partner, as I mentioned earlier, to develop the information that we're going to use on a particular topic. Team number 1 needs to get started now. This week, in the shortened week, you need to start researching the information for your topic, and you can go out again to the content section, week number 1, and find out what your topic is. I want all of your information by Wednesday of the week before your discussion. So if you're in Team 1, I want your information by Wednesday, June the 12th or something like that, so that I have time to get it loaded out to the computer system so that it'll be ready for the discussion when it opens. So in this week, Team 1 is researching their topic. By Wednesday of next week, you should email me the information for your topic. And then on Sunday the 16th, your topic opens. And if you're in Team 1, you're going to be a little more active in the discussion boards than if it's not your turn as a team lead group. Next week, as we're discussing generations, Team 1 is going to be finalizing their information and sending it to me. Team 2 is going to begin thinking about and researching their discussion, and we'll be talking about generations. In week number 3, Team 1 will be leading the discussion on their topic. Team 2 will be giving me their information by Wednesday about their topic, and we'll be talking about gender. I just about gave that away there about the first topic. But Team 3 will be beginning to research theirs. So it's a staggered thing. Because there's only 5 people and you have to do 2 leads, you're going to do a lead about every other week. So one week you'll do a lot of research. The next week you'll lead the discussion board, and then probably the next week you'll maybe even start researching the next one. Each of those are worth 200 points. There's a rubric out there that you can look at to find out how I'm going to grade that. A big part of that is when you give me your information. Wednesday by noon is full credit. Wednesday by the end of the night is you've lost a little bit of credit. If it's on Thursday morning, you've lost a little more. Thursday afternoon, you've lost even a little bit more. Friday morning, you've lost a little bit more. So get it to me by Wednesday at noon if you possibly can. I'm looking for at least 4 SHRM articles that are of some substance. It's not just, you can just barely scroll on the page and see the whole thing, but you want to be able to scroll several times. There's lots of good content. So part of the grading of that 100 points is the quality of your articles. Part of it relates to how many articles you give me, at least 4 for full credit. Part of it relates to how active you are in your own discussion board. In a normal week, if you're not the leadership team, you're going to do 4 posts. If you are the leadership team that week, you want to do at least 6. You want to interact a little bit more than normal. It also is a function of how much of those posts you read, and getting your Georgia View, your GoView set up to recognize that you've read the post is really, really important. There's going to be a separate video with a screen share that shows you how to set up all the settings to make sure that it reads those things appropriately. So 100 points each time that you do the 2 team leads. Those are worth 20% of your total grade. The project is worth 100 points. And the short version of what the project is that you're going to find a real company somewhere that has an existing HR department, and you're going to kind of act like a consultant. You will talk to them and say, tell me about a problem that you're working on. And it might be morale, or it might be retention, or it might be recruiting, or it could be any of 1,000 different things. And then you go and you do a little research and you try to propose a solution to that problem. There's going to be another video that tells you in depth what you have to do to prepare and how you're going to present that, and it culminates in an oral presentation through video conferencing where I and one of my HR friends are on the line kind of listening to and evaluating your presentation. The goal of this is to give you some practice solving a problem in the real world and laying out all of the details needed for the CEO to say, yeah, go ahead and do it. So part of the grading relates to how well you think about the costs involved, the benefits involved, who's involved, the timeline, all that kind of stuff. Again, look for another video that tells more about that somewhere around the 23rd of June to give you a whole month to work on it. An interesting component to my grading for online classes is that I track through GoView when you log into class, and I'm expecting you to log in every weekday except for July the 4th during the semester. And you get a point for every weekday that you log in. So if you've logged in on the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, and the 7th, which are the weekdays of the first week, you got 4 of the points already. Logging in on Saturday or Sunday is no bonus. Not logging in on Saturday or Sunday is no detriment. But what I'll do at the end of the semester is generate a little report that tells me each of the weekdays between June the 4th and July the 25th. And there may be, I'm just making up a number here, 30, 35. Let's say there's 42 possible days. Nah, that's too many. 35 possible days that you could log in. And this report says that you've logged in on 30 of those 35. You'll get 30 35ths, which is about 89% or something, towards this 100 points, and that is 10% of your grade. So it's going to be really to your advantage to log in every single weekday except for July the 4th. I don't want you to do anything on July the 4th. Just call that one a free day. Don't do anything. But log in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on a regular basis. If you don't stay in more than several seconds, that's fine. But log in. Make sure there's nothing on the home page. Make sure to maybe to read some of the discussion posts that have been out there since the day before when you logged in. Post if it's the appropriate time to post, but log in every day. And then the last part of the grading is the final exam. As I mentioned, it's kind of an open-ended essay kind of thing. Talk about what you've learned and what's been interesting and that sort of thing. It's worth 100 points, but only 10% of your grade. So if you're looking at where you really need to focus your effort, you want to do real well on the project. That's over a third of your grade. Most people don't find it that difficult to get a C on the project. It's not real easy to get an A. You got to do a bang-up job to get an A. And in a given semester, if I've got 20 people in the class, there may be 3 or 4 that get A's. It's kind of tough to get an A. It's got to be very well thought out and very well presented and very, very well rounded. The next big bang is the discussions. If you do everything I ask you to on the discussion boards every week, that's an easy 1/4 of your grade. And then the next big piece is the topic leads. Preparing well and leading a good discussion is really critical. So that's 20%. And then again, the other 20% is a combination of the logins and the final exam. I think through the process of that, I've addressed each of these pieces that go the bottom of page 3 and throughout page 4, where I talk about the individual things that make up your grades. So we'll flip through toward the end of the syllabus. Page number 5. The main thing you want to see on page number 5 is the late policy. Every now and then I have somebody say, I was out of town last week, I didn't get to participate in the discussion board, can I make that up? No, you can't, because the purpose of a discussion board is to interact, and everybody else has interacted and no one is interested in going back and interacting with you. So if you miss a discussion board, you miss a discussion board. The way that it's structured, you kind of have to log in at least every other day to be able to post to get the full credit. So let me know ahead of time if anything looks like it's going to be a problem. Let's just agree that at some point we may have to just kind of punt 1 week's worth of work. Hopefully that doesn't mess up in terms of your team lead thing. If you have questions about that, let me know. There's no real activities this semester where you could legitimately cheat. There's no tests, there's no papers, there's no research other than SHRM, and it's going to be hard to plagiarize on your project unless you take somebody else's project and you redo it. So don't worry so much on page 7 about the cheating part of it. When we do have video conferences, really it's just the one at the end of the semester where you're doing your project. Several of you will be on the phone at the same time. All of you will mute your mic and just listen to the person who's talking, and then when it's your turn, unmute your mic. That's the bulk of the syllabus right there. I hope that answers most of your questions. I want to take another minute real quick at the end of this and talk about the discussion grading, because that's important. I didn't want to do too many separate videos. One a little bit longer video instead of 2 shorter videos is helpful. When it comes to the discussion, there's a handful of things I'm looking at. I expect you to make 4 posts during the week, an initial one and then 3 follow-ups. And I prefer that your follow-ups not be on your original post. In other words, you go out there's a topic like generations, and you post your initial thoughts about generations. I've set the discussion boards to where you can't see anything that anybody else has put until you've put your initial thoughts. So put your thoughts out there and then start looking at other people's. If you put your main thought on Sunday or Monday, you get 3 points out of 3. If you wait until Tuesday or Wednesday, you've lost a point and you've gotten 2. If you wait until Thursday or Friday, you've lost another point, you only get 1. And if you post on Saturday or Sunday, it opens up the discussion board, but you get no points for the initial post. So for full credit, post on Sunday or Monday. Go out there and read the articles that are posted, put your thoughts together, and make your main post by Monday night at 11:59. The first follow-up post is your second post. You can't make that post until you've done your initial post. But your second post needs to be made on Monday or Tuesday. So in an ideal week, you go out there and you make your initial post on Sunday and you make a follow-up post on Monday perhaps, or you do an initial post on Monday and a follow-up post on Tuesday. That's for 3 points out of possible 3. If you wait until Wednesday or Thursday to do your second post of the week, then you've lost a point and you get 2. If you wait until Friday or Saturday, you only get 1 point. And if you make that second post on Sunday or you don't make a second post, you don't get any points at all. The third post comes a little bit in time after the second one. So you get full credit, 3 points, if your third post is on Wednesday or Thursday. So again, ideally, you have a post on Sunday, you have a post on Monday or Tuesday, you have a post on Wednesday or Thursday, and then you have your fourth post on Friday or Saturday. And if you post every other day, starting on Sunday, you've got full credit for the discussion board. What's the reason for that? I don't want anybody to go in there and post 4 times on Saturday or Sunday and think that they've met the spirit of a discussion. The discussion is an ongoing thing that you ought to be reading a little bit, thinking a little bit, posting every so often. So post not all 4 at the same time, every couple of days. If you do it on particular days as I've designed, you're going to get full credit for that. It's going to be an easy process to get points for the discussion. And then the last 2 pieces of it, the first, second, third, and fourth posts are worth 3 apiece. So that's 12 out of the overall 18. The next to last piece relates to to content. And I don't want you going out there and say, hey, that's a great post, I agree with you 100%, and feel like that counts. I want you to be able to add something to it, ask a question, answer a question, give an example. The original post ought to be in the 150 word range. That's 4 or 5 good lines of text. I don't want you to write four long paragraphs, just 4 or 5 good lines of information where you really give us some thought that we can dwell on a little bit and respond to. And then your follow-up posts, I'd say, ought to be 80 words to 100 words. So you actually have to type out something, a couple of sentences, to get a good response. If at least 75% of your posts, so 3 out of your 4, one of them is the initial one, which is going to be pretty substantial to begin with, so at least 2 out of the other 3 are pretty substantial, then you'll get the full credit of 3 points. But if only 50%, you've lost a point, and so forth. And then the last component is how much of this have you actually read? When you first open up a discussion board, all of the posts have a little blue line on the left side of the page. And as you scroll down to the bottom of that post and pause there, the blue line goes away and the computer recognizes that you've read that post. At the end of the week, you want to have read at least 80% of the posts, and we don't know how many posts there are going to be. I'm trying to design a system where people don't go in and post a lot after 8 o'clock on Sunday. The discussion board ends at the end of the day on Sunday. So it's open Sunday morning at 1 a.m. It stays open the entire week and closes at 11:59 on the next Sunday. And it's not really fair to people who are trying to do the spirit of the discussion, who go to bed or finish for the week around 8 or 9 on Sunday, and then a bunch of people go in there at 10 and 11 o'clock, 11:30, and make a bunch of posts so that you haven't been able to read all of them. I'm trying to get you to post by Sunday morning at the very latest. So in the middle of the day Sunday, everybody's read everything, everybody's done. You need to have read at least 80% of the posts for the week to get full credit on the reading. If you've read at least 70%, you get 2 points. If you've read at least 60%, you get 1 point. So it's important that you get the settings right on your computer so that it recognizes that you've read them when you have. Now, I'm going to ask you to do 2 things, both of which are covered in another video that comes up here shortly. That's the discussion, 18 total points, 6 things I'm looking for: the initial post, the second, the third, the fourth posts, the content of your posts, and how much of this stuff have you read. If you do all of those things according to my suggestions, you're going to get 18 points each week, and this 20% of your grade, whatever it was, 25% of your grade, is going to be a pretty easy standard to attain, 25%. A lot of stuff in this video. I'm trying to talk quickly so that it doesn't last real long. If you have questions, shoot me a text, go to the discussion board and put something on the Ask Dr. Grimes board, and I'll respond and everybody can figure it out. For now, though, I hope that you understand the basics of the syllabus and that you're ready to get started, that you understand the grading of the discussions, because that impacts us already in week number 1 as we talk about HR and strategy. And you're going to be excited about this semester and looking forward to the topics that are coming up and how you get to interact and grow and learn from each other. One of the things that I hear regularly about this class is that folks really like the discussion boards because people have different perspectives on these things, and nobody's wrong. We want to be very polite and very understanding and very thoughtful with each other. But at the end of this semester, inevitably I have people say, I hadn't thought about it from that perspective before, and listening to George talk about it from his perspective, or Louise talk about it from her perspective, caused me to really step back and take another look at it. And that's the whole point of this. In HR, you got to be open-minded, and you got to hear different perspectives, and you got to be able to relate and have compassion for people, and hopefully we'll accomplish that through the semester. That's all for now in this video. I hope that it has answered most of your questions. Again, if not, go to the Ask Dr. Grimes discussion board, put a post out there, and get ready to start looking for some more videos and some more discussion boards. Have a great semester. Bye for now.